Hey y'all, my name is Emily Miller, and you're listening to Hank Jr. on Hank's Corner.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hank's Corner. I am Hank Jr. I am part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and now podcasting. And tonight on my podcast, I have Miss Emily Miller. Emily, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. And always the first question I like asking, because music artists are all over the place. Where are you calling in from?
Right now, I am currently in Hilton Head, South Carolina on a vacation.
Oh, so you do get vacations every now and then.
Every now and then, I sometimes I force myself to take one. I do every year. Well, most years. There was a 5-year span where I did not, but
Oh, wow.
yeah. But recently, I've been trying every year to just take the time. It's a good reset.
Yeah, you definitely need to do that, and not only just to calm yourself and relax, but to get out and see different things and not have to worry about getting out and play or doing your job, but to actually enjoy what you're seeing. But how is your vacation going so far?
Good, good. There's been a decent amount of rain. Yesterday was our first day on the beach, and we got rained out. And
Mm,
about a couple hours into it, all of a sudden you looked over and there was a dark cloud, and I was like, that kind of looks like it might rain. And then it just started pouring. But besides that, it's been fun. I've gotten some good sleep. The beds are comfortable, so that's
that's
all
a
that matters
plus.
to me. Yeah, just catching up on that sleep.
Yeah, that's when you know that you're definitely adulting when you actually say, yeah, vacation. I want to get some sleep in, but
I know. I know.
that's the way it goes. But so where are you actually based out of though?
Nashville.
Okay, and how long are you been in Nashville?
I've been there. I went to college and I moved there for college in 2014, and I've been doing music full time since I graduated in 2018.
Okay, and you went to Belmont, correct?
I did. I did.
And how was that experience for you?
So much fun. I some days I no, I was never a school kind of girl.
Hmm.
I never liked school, but I some days I miss the structure and just the programming. And Belmont, being in Nashville, was just phenomenal program. Like all the teachers, all my professors were just incredible. Their resumes were stacked in the music business, and so that was a really cool opportunity to be able to be around so many amazing people my 4 years there.
Yeah, and I've always heard good things about Belmont, and one of the things that I like, which is kind of cool, and I don't know if it's everywhere in the music industry. I assume it's not, but it's kind of there in Belmont, whereas it doesn't seem like it's a very competitive atmosphere. It seems that there's a lot of people that kind of just support each other and work to a common goal. Is that your perspective as well?
Yes, and obviously there's always going to be a few times where people get jealous of another person because they got something, but for the most part, Belmont, that was my favorite thing about Belmont, is that they groomed us to be uniquely ourselves and to not compare ourselves, and which was a big head start, I would say, for getting out into the real world, to not have to worry and to be able to differentiate myself versus more of a pop country singer or a more classical. It depends. It groomed me to not compare, and I think that is a big thing in whether it's social media or just career wise. To not compare yourself was a big thing that I appreciated from my time at Belmont.
Yeah, and that's great to get that kind of instruction because, in the photography business, it's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of cutthroat because it's, with the music, it's okay if you like, Emily Miller as one and then you like somebody else as another. You can like them all equally, but in the photography business, it's kind of hard to do that because you go with one photographer and that's your person. And, we do see a lot of people kind of, just kind of take the newbies and, give them a hard entire time. And so that's why I've always made it a point that anytime I can, I always try to plug photographers. I always try to help them. And then when it comes to music artists that are starting out, I just love doing free photography for them. But so, before Nashville, though, you came from Ohio, correct?
Yes, yes, I did.
What part of Ohio?
I'm originally from Westchester, Ohio. It's about 30 miles north of Cincinnati area.
Okay. And did you follow any, whether it's college or the professional Ohio teams?
You know, yes, I would say my Buckeyes are my number one, hands down. I love my Buckeyes, but it was very hard growing up in Cincinnati because the Reds and the Bengals were just they were just horrible. Everybody knows that. And until this last year, that's why it was even hard this last year when the Bengals were going to the Super Bowl. It was hard to even cheer for them because I'm like, they're going to choke. They're going to choke. And they kept not choking. And so it was cool. And I'm like, well, there was one thing that I said when they lost the Super Bowl. I was like, at the end of the day, if there's anything us Cincinnatians can take, it's a loss because we're used to it. So, but
I hear
it was nice.
I definitely hear that, and I can attest to that because although I have no ties to Chicago, when I was little, I started picking up being watching the Cubs channel because that's where the cartoons used to come on WGN. And
Mhm.
somewhere around 5 years old, I started following baseball, started following the Chicago Cubs, and as you know, it was over 100 years before they won the World Series. So, as a Cubs
Oh
fan, I can completely understand that.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
that, and now they're not good again.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals are like that this year. It's just the way life goes.
Well, I'm definitely ready for some football, and I can't wait for the season to start. But let's get back to music because you have a recent single out called Black Velvet, and tell me what made you want to do that song.
Well, it's always been one of those songs that I've been drawn to. I over the last few years, since singing music out and about full time, it's been one of my biggest requested songs. Everyone has always said your voice would sound great, and it was singing this song, and I never knew it, and I wasn't raised listening to that kind of music, and so I didn't. One of my buddies, one time I was on my way to South Carolina to play a show in his town, and he was like, you need to play this song for me, and I was like, what song? And he sent it to me, and of course I was like, it's Black Velvet. If I'd be rich if I had $1 for every time somebody told me my voice would sound good singing Black Velvet. And so when it came time that I was going to put a 3-part series of videos out, Black Velvet was the first one that I knew that I needed to do, and I was so proud of the video for it too, and just the vibe that it gave off, and but yeah, and so Black Velvet, it now has a special place in my heart. I love singing it, and it's one of those songs where I almost like lose myself when I am singing it because it brings out just like my sass, but also emotion, and so yeah, I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, and that is one of those songs that can bring out, like you said, the sass and emotion, and it's so fun to watch live. But let's go ahead and play your version of Black Velvet here on Hank's Corner.
Mississippi, in the middle of a dry spell. Jimmy Rogers on Victrola up high. Mama's dancing with a baby on her shoulders. The sun is set like molasses in the sky. Boy can sing how to move everything. Always one more, leaving you longing for. But like velvet, a little boy smile. But like velvet, slow southern south. A new religion will bring you to your knees. Like velvet, if you please. Love of Memphis, music like a heat wave. while I'm is bound to drive you wild. Mama's baby's in the heart of every schoolgirl. Love me tender, leaves me crying in the aisle. The way you move is like a sin so sweet and true. Always one more, leaving you longing for. But like velvet, little boy smile. But like velvet, slow southern sound. A new religion will bring you to your knees. But like velvet, if you please. Every word of every song that he sang was for you. In the flesh, he was gone. It happened so soon. What could you do? Like velvet, little boy smile. But like velvet, slow southern sound. A new religion will bring you to your knees. But like velvet, if you please. But like velvet, little boy smile. But like velvet, slow southern sound. A new religion will bring you to your knees. Like velvet, if you please. If you please. If you please.
And you just heard Black Velvet by Emily Miller, my special guest here on Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. So, Emily, take me back from the time you were at 6 years old and you were studying piano. Take me back to that time, and how did you get to where you are today?
It baffles me that I've gotten to where I am today. And if you would have told me that when I was 6 years old, I would have been like, "You're crazy." Even 5 years ago, if you would have told me I would be doing all this stuff, I'd say you're crazy. It's been a long ride with different chapters of it for sure. When I started piano when I was six, I absolutely hated it and wanted nothing to do with it. And my mom signed us, me and my sister, my older sister, up for an after school piano class through our elementary school. And I continued. My sister did not, but I continued all the way through and learned classical piano, and which I believe truly gave me the foundation of the rest of my music, came from that time. And then I started playing guitar a few years later, and same thing. I was never any good at it, so therefore I didn't want to practice. And so I would show up to my lesson, zero practice put in for the week, and my teachers would just think that I practiced because I became really good at just flying by the seat of my pants and sight reading, because what I wanted to do was not what I was being taught. I wanted to sing the country music songs. I wanted to be able to play as I was singing. And so over time, I started doing classical voice lessons after I think it was my junior high teacher told my parents that I should take voice lessons. And so I signed up for voice lessons and started singing classically. And that's where I kind of found my was something I was naturally gifted in, and I it was kind of a shock because I always tell people I'm too much of a hee-haw to do classical music. We just I just I never in a million years thought that I'd be good at something like that. And I did competitions all throughout high school and won competitions, won scholarships for college, got full ride scholarships to college doing classical music. But I turned it all down because that just wasn't where my heart honestly was. And so then that's where I found Belmont's commercial vocal performance major, which is what I ended up doing, and that was all popular music. Um, and so I worked my butt off during my 4 years at Belmont doing that. And it wasn't until I'd say like my junior or senior year at Belmont that I kind of realized, while a lot of my friends were like, well, we're just going to go into teaching and this, that, and the other. I'm like, there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to stay in school for teaching and teaching other kids and whatnot. That's not me. I want to be the one that's out there performing. And so my senior year after I graduated, I, I started working harder at guitar and being able to fully accompany myself for 4 hour shows. And within a month after I graduated, I did my first show. And I played all 4 hours by myself and just me and my guitar. And I had a blast and I've been doing it ever since. And over the last 4 years of doing that, I've found myself in more ways than I ever imagined. And what through that songwriting came and recording my own music, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and that is very interesting that you say that, you had those full rides and you gave it up because you wanted to do what you wanted to do. And that's great because we know that, let's face it, some people, for whatever reason, maybe it's money, maybe it's something else, but they will, try doing something that they don't like. And then years down the road or whatever, they realize, hey, I kind of wasted a lot of my time. And they eventually go back to do what they want to do anyway. So, that is great that you were able to find that out early.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And during my first couple years at Belmont, before we started learning how to sing popular music and do those kind of voice lessons, we did have to take the classical voice lessons. And even once I was in Belmont's commercial music program, my classical voice teachers still were trying to recruit me and said, we can get you a job, we can do this, we can do that. And I just kept saying no. No, and the longer I was in it, once I got out of college or once I got out of high school, the less I was interested in classical at all. And so it really didn't persuade me. It didn't change my mind. Like I knew at that point, once I got into college and kind of got out of my high school bubble of really being my high school was fantastic in the choir world. Like we did all types of festivals and stuff like that with my choir and large works. We did Brahms Requiem and all these other huge works and that most college or high schools would never even dream of. I had a very gifted choir teacher, and so we did all that. And then once I got out of that bubble, I realized even more that that was not anywhere near where I wanted to be in life. And so that kind of made even them trying to persuade me a lot easier to just stand firm and be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Right where I'm at. I'm good.
Yeah, and I like the choice that you made too. And now, one of the successes that you had, like I said, you started at 6, and it sounds like you worked hard. You had a path, but then your song was featured on an ABC show. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I was playing in a show in I forget where it was now. Like Eastern Moorhead, I think it was Moorhead, Kentucky, if I remember correctly. Eastern Kentucky. And there was a couple there, and I guess they enjoyed our show that me and my band put on. And later, fast forward, I think like a year or two later, it was. And I received a phone call that this girl that happened to be at my show was going to be a part of this TV show called Renee's Bridal Takeover that was going to be featured on ABC for a free wedding. And that she mentioned that she would love if I sang at her wedding, and that how much she loved my music and me, my singing and everything, and wanted to know if they could surprise her and have me come to town. And I was like, sure. And so they didn't realize at the time that I had my song Prince Charming that I had written for one of my good friends that I grew up with at church in Ohio. Her and her now husband asked me to sing at their wedding, and I wrote Prince Charming for their wedding. And since then I've sang it at a ton of weddings. And so anyway, so I was able to sing Prince Charming and have it featured as kind of like the theme song, could say, for this show. And it was a really cool experience. The venue was beautiful. The whole setup, they did like a surprise where she walked into like the bridal suite after taking pictures, and I was there. And they did a reveal and everything, and it was really cool. Something that I never in a million years thought was going to happen. It was very cool that it actually did the way that it did.
Well, that's definitely amazing. And I'd like to go ahead and play Prince Charming here on Hank's Corner, if that's okay.
Mhm.
Every day since I was 5 years old, I watched those fairy tales, hoping one day
welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. with my special guest, Emily Miller. And you just heard Prince Charming, as we talked about, was featured on that show, and it had to do a lot with weddings. And that's pretty cool because, one of the things I do as a videographer, well, and a photographer too, but more so on the video side, is come up with these songs. Well, I say come up with them, find the artists that have these songs that can play at weddings, and get to be able to use them. I've had a few artists that say, hey, go ahead, and if you're okay, I would love to be able to use that song one of these days in one of the videos.
For sure. For sure. Just let me know. And the answer is always yes.
I love that. And you said that you wrote this song, so tell me, do you write most of your songs, and how does your writing process go?
I do most every song that I've put out, I've been a part of in some way, shape, or form, whether a solo writer or a co-writer. My writing process is a little different than other people's. I am not one of those people that are just constantly filled with ideas. It hits me in waves. Sometimes I'll write 2, 3 songs within a week. Sometimes I write one song a month. It just depends on when waves hit me and when creativity hits me. I have been blessed to be in the room with some great co-writers, and one of my best friends, Drake Austin, who I wrote a few of my songs on my EP with. He's my best friend in town, and we write very well together. And it's kind of been a learning curve for me because I had written so much by myself throughout the years, and then being in a co-writing room. And my writing style is more, I just do everything at once. I just start playing the guitar, and whatever comes out, I morph it into whatever. And but when you're writing with other people, you have to take into consideration what their writing process is, and being able to morph that into your own, and being able to participate in it. And so a lot of the songs that we have written, they are very honest to a fault. And that's where one of the learning curves that Drake had when writing with me is that I cannot sing a song that's not 100% me. And I can't write a song. I can write a song, but I won't sing it myself if it's not 100% me. And so there was some times in like my song "Take the Trash Out," for example, that he threw a line out there, and I was like, but that didn't happen. That's not how it happened. And so that he knew the minute I said, but that didn't happen, he knew that was meant. Nope, that's not going to happen in the song. And so it's always a fun process, though. You never know what's going to come out at the end of the day. Like, we can go in hoping to write a song about ABC, and it comes out being XYZ, and you never know. And I think that's the fun part about songwriting, is that you can get an absolute hit coming out, or you can get one that you hear a few days later and you're like, I don't really care for it. And we've had both. Take the Trash Out was one of those that even a couple months later, we wrote that one right before COVID hit. And so I think we wrote it in February of 2020, and mid-February. And so once ever the world pretty much shut down, I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't really, nobody was really paying attention to anything. And so I came back to it a few months later and listened to the work tape again. And I just started bobbing my head. I was like, man, this is a jam. I call it my sass jam. And so those kind that you just go with them. And then there's been others ones that we just wrote one a couple months back, and I listened to it again, and I was like, I'm like, it's a good song, but it's not going to go anywhere, and it's not going to, I'll never record it. And those are fine. Every song that you write, every song that you put out and into the world on a piece of paper, they're not all going to be good, but they're all lessons, and they're all piece of your heart that kind of gets to come out a little bit and shared with the world, which is my favorite part about songwriting.
Yeah, and to use the sports analogy, with baseball, the best hitters get 3 out of 10 hits, and for their percentage, and so it's just the way it is. Like you said, it's a learning curve. Sometimes you get something from it, but it's also every time that you write, I would assume it's a great way to express yourself, and that's just how you're feeling at the time. It doesn't have to be a hit, but writers have that opportunity to find a way to express themselves through their writing, which is great, because not everybody can do that. Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
Hmm, I do, but I don't. I don't remember what I think it was like maybe something called like Big City USA. Like it was about I think a little girl like having a dream, maybe to like move to Nashville or something. Some cliche, something that everybody in the grandpa's probably written like 20 songs about. And I remember I was probably like 12 years old when I wrote it.
Okay.
And but yeah, I don't exactly remember. I'm sure we could probably find the paper at my house at home with what it was. Because I remember I wrote it at the time. I wrote it to a pre-existing song melody. Like I just stripped a song melody and took the lyrics away and wrote my own lyrics or whatever. So it was one that I did copyright infringement off of.
Well,
But
and see, that's about the only thing that I'm good at, and I don't want to say copyright infringement, but let's take the Weird Al version of stuff, and I'll take songs that have melodies, and I'll put my own words to it. So
yeah,
I get that. I could do that. Okay, but
yeah.
some of the fun stuff I want to know is, who were your influences growing up?
I'm a big Reba fan, so
Hmm.
definitely Reba, and love me some Trisha Yearwood, some Martina McBride, Miranda Lambert was a big one, and then on the male side, Ronnie Dunn and Alan Jackson were my two big ones. I'd say all of them were kind of like a combination of who I was listening to and really listening to growing up.
Okay, and you mentioned Alan Jackson. I know that you had just seen him not too long ago. I know I got to see him. I guess it's only been a couple of weeks now, out in Georgia. But tell me, what was it like when you saw him?
Oh my gosh. We were the very first night, I think. I'm pretty sure. I saw him in Knoxville and that was back in January? No. June. I don't remember when it was. It was a while ago now, a couple months back. And it was great, but it was also very sad. Seeing him and seeing him struggle to navigate the stage and not
Hmm.
and it made me nervous, and also the fact he was dropping guitar picks left and right because he couldn't hold on to him, and it was heartbreaking. Still sounded amazing. I think he still sounded the same that he does on the recordings. I thought he was incredible, but it was sad watching. But to be honest, I went with my sister, and we even said at the end, like I was like, the man could have sat in on a stool in a circle with the rest of his band surrounding him, and I wouldn't have cared. I came to hear him sing, just because when the world shut down, it was and Joe Diffie and Kenny Rogers and all of them passed. It kind of put into realization that there were so many people that I hadn't gotten to see yet that were my idols, and that I dreamt of seeing, and I didn't want another time to pass where somebody passed away and I didn't get to see them. And so that's why I kind of make it a pact that I'm like, I'm always going to be able to see. I mean, we're never guaranteed, but I'm always going to get to be able to see Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert, Morgan Wallen, like all those
Hmm.
people. They're still young, but how much longer do you know? Do you know how much longer people like Reba and Alan Jackson are going to be touring? And so that's why in January I saw Reba for the first time, and I don't care how much I had to pay for her and Alan Jackson tickets. I was just like, I got to be there, and so I went to both of them, and both of them did not disappoint. And so it kind of rang true. Now I'm seeing the Judds in October. Well, I guess the remaining
Hmm.
Judd, Winona, which Winona is one of my idols too. Her voice growing up was just in a league of its own, obviously. And so I'm going to see her, and then the Martina is opening for her. And I've never seen, other than like during CMA Fest, in like years ago, like over probably a decade ago or so when I went, I've never gotten to see her live in concert. So I'm killing two birds with one stone. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and Martina is such a powerhouse. But to back on what you're saying, that how moments are very precious, and you don't know how many of them you're going to get. And one of my taglines for what I do is called "Documenting Life's Moments." And when I was there at Alan's concert, I've seen him several times, and I've watched him over the years. And like you said, it's a little bit hard to watch him on this farewell tour. But what was even harder was that his family was there when I went. And so they would show the daughters and the aunts and stuff there in the audience. And as he went through from the beginning to the end of his career, I saw how his songs actually document life's moments, from the time that he just wanted to chase that neon rainbow, and to the time that he's driving with his daughters, and so on. And what an amazing concert he put on. And I'm glad that I got to be a little bit a part of that farewell tour, and I'm glad that you were too.
Yes, Drive is my favorite Alan Jackson song of all time. I don't know, something about that song has just always kind of like hit a heartstring with me. And my dad did teach me how to drive as well. And so I think that's probably why. But yeah, that man, yeah, I would do anything I need to look at the dates and see if there's anything remotely close, because I would go again in a heartbeat.
Well, and some of the questions I like to ask the artists, that are on the show, like given any opportunity to be on stage with anybody, who would you want to be on? And if I were to answer that question as far as the podcast, Alan Jackson would be the number one person I would want on my podcast. And I would say, hey, I'm done. I got him on. I don't have to do this anymore. I'd be happy. But let's go back to that question then. Who would you love to be able to play on stage with?
There's definitely different parts of my personality that I think hits with different artists, and I think that's why I look up to some people in that I do growing up. And so I definitely think like the Miranda Lambert or Reba would probably be my two girls. Also, Jennifer Nettles like number one fan. And so I got to see Sugarland a few years ago, and no one compares. There's literally, her voice can do no wrong. And that'd be a hard one for me to answer. I'd say those three people.
Hey, why not bring them all on stage at
I
once,
know
right?
they're like my dream duet would be like, if I could do like a Linda Davis Reba McEntire like duet, like I would pick one of those three people. Probably, to be honest, okay, I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna pick Jennifer Nettles, just because her voice can do zero wrong, in my opinion.
Okay, that would be awesome. And one of the other sides that I like to ask is, being there in Nashville,
Mhm.
who are some of maybe the unknown artists that we should be on the lookout for?
Hmm. Well, I'm trying to think what a good one would be. I have a friend that I play with down on Broadway. When I'm down there, Michael Simeon is his name. Fantastic singer, and he was on American Idol a few years back. And him, and then one of the girls that I went to Belmont with, Gracie Carroll. She is doing amazing things.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
Yes, and so we went to Belmont together, and she graduated a year after me, and great, great performer. She's got a couple. She's getting in big on TikTok, and everything, and so I'm a big fan of some of the newer country artists in general, like Lainey Wilson and Ashlyn Craft.
Mhm.
Are two. Ashlyn Craft, man, she's a phenomenal singer. She's one of my favorites, and that I've gotten to witness kind of grow in Nashville.
Okay. And I can't get off the podcast unless I talk about food. That's just how I am. So, I'll be up in Nashville not too long from now. Where are some of the places, maybe hidden gems, that I should be looking for as food? And I know people say, well, what are you looking for? And I just want something that's, unique to Nashville.
Well, I will say this might not, I don't know if this is unique to Nashville or not, but it's one of my favorite things that I've discovered living in Nashville is Nashville's Greek food population and restaurants are just phenomenal. We didn't have very much Greek food in Cincinnati area growing up. Like I had never had a gyro before moving to Nashville. And there are tons of Greek cafes in Nashville, and they're all good. And somebody said they were like, "Is there like there's like Hattie B's and Prince's Hot Chicken in Nashville? Everybody knows Nashville's hot chicken." Somebody said the other day they were like, "Is there like a Greek place because they're all so good? Like, is there one Greek place that is a step above the rest?" And I'm like, "No." I've been to probably 15 to 20 different Greek places at this point in Nashville, and they're all authentically great. So, Greek food, Euro.
Yeah, and that's awesome that you said it because you're one of the first ones to say that. But I do recall last year that I was staying outside of Nashville, about maybe 10, 15 minutes outside of the city and near my hotel within walking distance. I can't remember, so I can't plug it, but it was in a strip mall shopping center, some Greek food. And I remember that. I remember that was probably the best tasting year I've had in a while. So I will definitely second that. And we're going to go ahead and end the podcast with one of my favorite songs by you, "Take the Trash Out." But before we do so, I want to find out what's left for you for the remaining of the year. Where can people find you? Where can they check you out? And where can they see you perform?
Um, for the rest of the year, we've got a few more. We've got a video just came out today. My second video just came out earlier today. Turn on the Radio by Reba. So check that out on my YouTube channel. And we have one more video coming out in October. And then we're looking at possibly, fingers crossed, everything aligns. We will have a Christmas song out this year. But as far as finding me on the road, I do sing in Nashville a couple days a week. And then I also play in Gatlinburg a couple times out of the month, in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, in the Smoky Mountains, which this time of year, it's always great because when the leaves start to change, and also when Christmas comes around, it's always nice. And but I'm always playing everywhere. I play most of the southern states, and I also play in Kentucky and Ohio, Indiana, all those areas. And so really, I always tell people just look at my Facebook page or on my website. I try to keep, sometimes these months are just going faster and faster and faster. And I keep forgetting that we're already almost in September already. And so I try to keep my schedule updated on there with where I'm going to be and what time and the location and whatnot. And so you can always check there. And in the meanwhile, you can find me on social media, Emily Miller Official, and on wherever you want to find me, find my music and stream it. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and definitely check her out on the social medias. You're going to see the website that's listed here below, emilymillerofficial.com. And when these songs come out, especially Christmas, because I love Christmas songs, you can be sure that I'm going to be promoting it on my new, how do I say it? On the new Music Friday post. There we go.
Yeah.
That I love doing. So be sure to let me know when that's coming out. But Emily, thanks so much again for coming on my podcast. I had a great time talking to you. And anytime you want to be a guest on Hank's Corner, you're more than welcome to do so.
Thank you. I appreciate it.